Thanks so much for your company. I am Pius Kojo Baka. Let's now settle for the details. And there is a wave of movement of some executive leadership of banks. Joy Business is learning that the outgoing managing director of Absa Bank Ghana, Abnasai Poku, is heading to EcoBank Ghana as the new managing director. Similarly, the chief executive of Universal Merchant Bank, Anajumo Bene, is exiting the bank after his term of office ends in January 2024. There is more for you in this report.
Abena Osei Poku is expected to take over from Daniel Saki as the MD of EcoBank Ghana. Last week, Absa Bank Ghana issued a statement indicating that its MD will step down by December 18 this year. The statement mentioned that she was leaving the bank to pursue a career opportunity outside of Absa Group. Abena Osei Poku had more than 14 years working experience within the Absa Group, including 5 years as managing director of Absa Bank Ghana. Meanwhile, Joy Business sources at UMB indicates that astute banker Anajumo Bene will be leaving the bank as MD when his term ends by January next year. It is unclear why Nana Bene, who had executive leadership roles at Stanbic and Barclays Bank, is leaving the indigenous bank despite serving for only one term. In a related development, the managing director of CalBank, Philip Oredu, is also said to be on his way out of the bank. Again, it is uncertain why the chartered accountant Kumbanka is exiting the listed bank.
Capital Courage Buti is predicting a hold in the policy rate as the Monetary Policy Committee of the Bank of Ghana concludes its 114th meeting today. The meeting will later on Monday, September 25, announce a new rate. The policy rate is currently pegged at 30%. Speaking to Joy Business ahead of the announcement, Mr. Buti stated that the Bank of Ghana will maintain the policy rate because there is still space for monetary tightening.
I think they'll hold the policy rate for 2 reasons. Yes, I acknowledge that where the policy rate is now, if we are going by the dictates of the textbooks and what the theory suggests, there is still a space for further monetary tightening because inflation at 40.1 and policy rate at 30% still leaves a policy gap, and there could be space for tightening. But I guess the inflation rate is where it is, not entirely due to demand-driven factors, but it's also or cost-push factors really, but it's also as a result of some of the actions or inactions from the Bank of Ghana and governor in the Bank of Ghana and the government in 2022. However justifiable they are, that is fueling the level of inflation. But we are entering a phase now where largely the impact of the new harvest season has brought down inflation by some 30% to 40.1. And the expectation, if the natural trend continues, is that you see such a decline again, potentially in September. And then when you enter Q4, you expect the impact of favorable base pull to drag inflation lower a lot more, a lot faster. Now, if inflation, which is the concern, is on the downturn and that trend is expected to continue through Q4, I do not see reason or justification for further hikes in the policy rate. 2, growth is slowing, as I've not acknowledged, and it will get, the pace will get slower in the second half of the year. And we are talking about GDP numbers that show continuous quarters of contraction. In fact, in the industrial sector, it is in recession, the industrial sector. We've seen that it is a government-driven growth or public sector-driven growth at this point. There is a need to stimulate the economy, really.
Now, financial economist Professor Lord Mensa has taken a swipe at government for what he describes as a disappointment to still hold on to some flagship programs. According to him, the current economic challenges should deter government from continuing with such projects. Speaking on PM Express Business Edition, he maintained that government's claim of cutting down expenditure is not entirely true. James Eshen reports.
Government in recent times have been making some assertions indicating it has shown some commitment in cutting down expenditure. At the recent Graphic Business Stanbic Bank breakfast meeting, Chief Director at the Finance Ministry Element has been explaining what government have done so far.
In fact, in some jurisdictions, they lay policemen off. They lay teachers off. Here in our country, we haven't laid anyone off. Indeed, that is more of a social welfare system than actual expenditure management. We do not lay anyone off. In fact, there's pressure on government to take on more nurses and more teachers. And you are saying we should cut down expenditures.
Is this really the case? Now, economist Professor Lord Mensah says a lot still needs to be done to stabilize the economy.
I wasn't expecting government to keep to Agenda 111, projects that, you know very well that you can rationalize, those projects. And so those expenditure rationalization, which is part of the, what we call it, the program, I was disappointed that I did not. On the revenue side, I think, which is one of the KPIs, government did well.
On Ghana's economy turning around after a 3.2% growth recorded for the second quarter of this year, the Association of Ghana Industries say this does not reflect on the operations of its members.
And I've been visiting a lot of companies lately as well to assess the situation. And generally speaking, the general mood is that industries are struggling, sales are down, they are not meeting targets. And I'm not surprised that the data that was released clearly showed a bit of contraction in the industrial sector, especially manufacturing and construction and other areas. So clearly, industry is struggling. And surprisingly, it's not just the items that one could consider luxury goods, even the essential commodities, basic items that are consumable products that we consume on a daily basis. When you talk to companies producing these items, their sales have dropped.
There is some uncertainty in the investment environment in Ghana. The appetite for long-term investments seems to be going down. But Professor Lord Mensah is asking government to find ways of fixing the high interest on treasury bills and other government securities.
Government should be able to give the signal on the market that I don't need short-term funds again. As a result of that, the banks will have alternatives to lend to individuals. So if government is not borrowing from the short-term market, as they will be getting inflows from external sources and all that. The banks will start lending to individuals. So from where I sit, they should use these funds, right, in a way to spare up government spending and stop, demanding short-term funds from the market.
Most players across all the sectors of the Ghanaian economy are asking government to basically find a way in fine-tuning the country's economy. For Joy Business, James Ishen.
Tax consultant Francis Timoboy is urging the Ghana Revenue Authority to investigate activities at the ports to address issues of misclassification of goods at the ports. The Ghana Revenue Authority has accused traders of misclassifying their goods at the ports to evade taxes. Speaking earlier on the marketplace, Mr. Timoboy said the authority must conduct a thorough investigation to prove their claims.
The solution at the port, you remember when we went for the paperless clearance system? GRA has made a procedure such that the classification of goods is categorized into 3. Every container is either red. If it is red, per the GRA's own risk assessment, if it is red, then it means that they have to do physical examination. They will open the container and check every single item. So there can be misclassification. GRA will find it at the port. 2, if your container is green, then it means that there's no risk. And they consider factors such as the credibility of the importer, the consistency of the goods, and then how homogeneous the goods are. So that at that point, it is only paper verification. So if it is paper verification and the scanner says I am green, then it means that there's no risk. If it is yellow, then there is a mixture of both. So I think that unless the rules are relaxed at the port, it will be hard for importers to say they have been misclassified. If it is red, then you have to do physical examination. However, there's the possibility that if there's any misclassification or if something is going on and the GRA is not detecting it at the port, then maybe there's some conniver at the port which needs investigation.
To some other stories, Minister for Employment and Labour Relations Ignatius Bafwewa says the government is convinced of the potential of entrepreneurship to transform the country's economy. He says with the needed guidance, many unemployed individuals in the country could develop innovative solutions to shore up the economy. The National Green Jobs Strategy is expected to help drive this goal. There is more in this report.
A delegation from the European Union, the Embassy of the Kingdom of the Netherlands and SNV Ghana have been on a tour to some green businesses in the Ashanti region. The visit is in line with the government's National Green Jobs Strategy, aimed at promoting green jobs and transition to an environmentally sustainable economy. The strategy, developed in 2020 with support from the International Labour Organization and the European Union, is being implemented by the Ministry of Employment and Labour Relations. Employment Minister Ignatius Bafwewa is convinced of the potential of entrepreneurship in reducing unemployment.
Obviously, the public sector doesn't have enough space to absorb all of them. So what happens to the rest of them? Are they supposed to be waste? No. Many of them with little guidance can be entrepreneurs on their own. And for me, it is for this basis that we signed this agreement with SNV to be able to deepen the entrepreneurship mentality of most of our young persons. And that if indeed you want to be rich, the best way to be rich is to be an entrepreneur than rather waiting for you to be employed by somebody. So think of you investing, becoming an entrepreneur, and then you yourself rather employing people instead of waiting for persons to employ you.
From oil palm fields through women-led businesses to an establishment building climate-resilient roads and infrastructure, the team visited and commissioned businesses established by young Ghanaian entrepreneurs in 5 communities. Deputy Ambassador at the Embassy of the Kingdom of the Netherlands in Ghana, Wendy Van Meel, impressed on the prospects of the heterocultural sector.
We're really impressed by the results that have been accomplished under the Green Project. A lot of decent jobs have been created. From the Netherlands side, we see a lot of opportunities in the horticulture sector. There's a lot of land here available, so there's a lot of opportunity for Ghana to produce products themselves.
Project Manager on Green Projects at the EU, Martha Bringon, called on the government and other stakeholders to institute measures in supporting the sustenance of businesses.
Sustainability will be certainly an issue because we can support an idea, brilliant idea and energetic youth, but we need, even after the end of the project, so I appeal to all national organizations in charge of supporting entrepreneurs and the youth to continue their support and be very close to these young people that invested the time and energies in developing innovative and green businesses.
The Green Project aims to create green jobs and promotes the growth of the green and circular economy in Ghana by improving skills development and increasing access to finance for youth. For Joy News, Clinton Yeboah's report read to you.
This is still Business Life with me, Pius Kojobaka. We've got more stories for you after this break. Welcome back to Business Life. 23 startups in the Ashanti region have received tools worth over 70,000 cedis for their business operations. They are the first set of unemployed youth trained in various technical and vocational trades by the Youth Empowerment Center under the No Business as Usual project. Aside from the startups, other unemployed persons received soft and employable skills. Nanaya Ojima was at the graduation ceremony for 122 trainees and has filed this report.
The project, funded by SOS Children's Villages, Netherlands, has a goal of reducing unemployment in the Ashanti region. A total of 122 young people were selected for the program, irrespective of their educational qualification. Among these, 15 of them have secured employment, while 50 young people are currently undergoing skills training in technical and vocational fields. Project coordinator Roberta Aite says the training has potential of increasing their chances of securing jobs.
For those graduating today, the first thing we wanted to do was to equip them with soft skills, skills that are very necessary, but they are not things that people would usually teach you. We are talking about communication, the ability to collaborate, to work well with other people, to even discover what exactly they want to do with their lives. And that is what we did with this group, and we have achieved. In addition to that, we added hard skills, because you can be the most confident person and ready to put yourself out there, but if you don't have any skill that you can make money out of, in these days, we all know that it will not be very okay for you. And so we sought to support them with hard skills, which we have also done very well. In addition to that, again, today we gave some tools out to them, just to make sure that we are setting them up right.
The 23 startups who successfully completed vocational training received the necessary tools for their operation. Ms. Aite is expecting the beneficiaries to create opportunities for young people.
We've given them the skill they need, we've given them the right tools they need to start, and we believe with all of what we've done today, they are ready to make something meaningful out of their lives, and that was all we wanted to do.
Meanwhile, the SOS Children's Village is calling on all young people to take advantage of the opportunity. Bernard Amoako is Programs Director.
This project is open to all, so it's open to all, and those who take advantage of it are the ones who are here. There's no special thing to ask Muslims or Christians, so it's open to all. But you will find that we have Christians and Muslims. It's those who are motivated and ready to learn from us who are ever ready to give them the training.
For Joy News, Nanaya Ochima.
Deputy Minister of Fisheries and Aquaculture Development, Moses Enim, has underscored the need to increase fish production, adding that government is working assiduously to support the youth in aquaculture. According to him, the supply of fish is not meeting demands in the market due to the country's depleting marine resources. He was speaking at the Blue Food Partnership event by the Chamber of Aquaculture.
Ghana Chamber of Aquaculture and the World Economic Forum under its Blue Food Project held a networking event to deliberate on ways to improve the sector. In an interview, Deputy Minister of Fisheries and Aquaculture Development, Moses Enim, said government is working to ensure that the aquaculture sector is able to meet demands in the market.
One of the key challenges was to replenish the stock. And how do we do it? So we have to come back and look at what really is happening within the ocean scientifically. Because we need to tease out a plan for aquaculture. Because aquaculture, as I said, remains the most viable alternative to bridge the gap between the supply and the demand, okay? Because look, if you even say that our per capita consumption, annual per capita consumption is 20 kilograms, okay? And we have 30 million Ghanaians. Rough estimation, plus or minus, if you multiply 20 kilograms by 30 million, it gives you a fair idea of our demand for fish.
Chairman of the Ghana Chamber of Aquaculture, Dr. Henry Enim Sumwa, also noted that an increase in the production of fish would help to reduce the cost of food.
What this program is seeking to do is first, like we all said, to deal with the practices, how we're growing fish today and its implication for the environment. The second thing is that once I get better sustainable practices, it will really affect my cost of production. Fish health has been a big loss, as we've all known in the past few years. Sustainable practices would help us deal with the challenges with such losses, and that would affect your pocket. The principles of economics indicates that once we have good and reliable supplies, prices tend to go down.
The project lead for the Blue Food Partnership, Oleg Kaminsky, explains the Blue Food Initiative and its impact on Ghana.
The Blue Foods Partnership was created by, I think, over 40 even companies, multinational, big, global, international companies that devised a way of how we can potentially find sustainable solutions to aquaculture. And because it exists at the global level, they wanted to see where can we start bringing it down to a local level. And Ghana was chosen as the country that had the most promise for aquaculture in Africa. It's the one that's growing the fastest. You're racing ahead of many countries in Africa, and so it was seen as a good place to do business. It was seen as a good place for the global networks to come down to Ghana, to start meeting Ghanaian businesses, to work with Ghanaian businesses. And so what we're doing by starting the local platform here is to get a network of Ghanaian businesses together in one place, to come up with ideas, and then to connect to the global partners. So
Stakeholders also called for a transformation of the sector to make it sustainable.
Away from the marine sector, let's talk cocoa now, because farmers in the sector have been encouraged to help sustain the cocoa industry by avoiding the trappings of illegal minings into releasing their farmlands for illegal mining activities. This is in view of the threats illegal mining pose to the country's cocoa industry. Correspondent in Nathalia Kwanza has more.
Cocoa is of significant importance to Ghana's economy as it directly employs about 800,000 Ghanaians, generates export revenue to support the economy, and also supports livelihood in the service, commercial and industrial sectors. However, the sector has in recent times come under severe threat due to activities of illegal miners as they have invaded cocoa farms, while some farmers have voluntarily released their farms for immediate financial gains. Speaking to farmers at Domiabra near Asenkrigwa in the Menfi West district of the Western region, at the handing over of a modern primary school block with library, ICT laboratory, and an astroturf, the Director of Special Services of Cocoa Board, Mr. Charles Amayaglo, says Galamsey has far-reaching consequences on the cocoa, saying, besides reduction in yields, it has serious international ramifications.
Educating our children encompasses holistic infrastructure and amenities to bring total development to them. The sponsors of this classroom block with its facilities have done a great job to lighten the burden on the scarce resources of the government. Permit me to touch on the Galamsey menace that is causing a lot of havoc in our cocoa farms. We see Galamsey activities all over our cocoa farms, our rehabilitated farms, as well as physical structures, and this undermines the efforts of our hardworking farmers and robs them and the country of the desired benefits.
The school project was fully funded by Federation Commodities FEDCO, a licensed buying cocoa company, and its partner Stock and Water Matter, while Cocoa Board Foundation supported in the provision of AstroTurf.
And now, before we go, CEO of Black Avenue Group, D Black, known in private life as Desmond Kwesi Blackmore, has described the Ghanaian business environment as a difficult one. Speaking in a yet-to-be-aired episode of Joy Prime Celebrities hosted by Amele Josu, D Black bemoaned the exchange rate instability as a major cause for concern in business operations.
Hospitality businesses now we're taxed 21.9% on the GRA. So if you were making 1,000 cedis, 219 cedis is for the government. You know, they just audited us. You know, you have to make sure your books are proper. You know, it's difficult. It's difficult. The taxes go up every other year.
Yeah.
We don't have proper structures in place as musicians to collect royalties. So it's difficult. In all the areas that I'm in, it's difficult. You have to be blessed and very hardworking to be able to maneuver yourself and remain in business in such conditions. The dollar goes crazy when it wants to.
Yeah, the fluctuations and all that.
I remember I was paying for property to do business, and when I paid the first tranche, the dollar was 8 cedis. When it was left for the balance, 2 months later, the dollar was 13 cedis. So now I started sweating to see if the dollar will come to 10 or 9. It went started going to 15. So I was forced to pay at 13, and it's not a small sum of money. You know, so now if you've done a budget, now your budget is almost double. So now how are you going to make that money back? Now recouping becomes a longer period, because for your services that you're rendering, you're not charging dollars, you're charging cities. And you have to stick to those cities. Cost of goods go up. As soon as petrol prices goes up, everything else goes up. So that means when you're going to change your prices, the customers are used to it. Now you come, at the same time, taxes have gone up, cost of goods have gone up. So something you're selling for 200, you're going to sell for 400, nobody's going to buy it. So now your profit margins drop. And that's the business we're in.
And Celebbiz is a new show that seeks to explore the entrepreneurial ventures of celebrities in Ghana and beyond. You can watch the full episode of Celebbiz this Saturday at 5 p.m. on Joy Prime. And that's how we part company here on Business Life with me, Pius Kojo-Baka. For more stories, do log on to myjoyonline.com/business. Always a pleasure serving you. Do enjoy the rest of your evening. Of course, have a lovely weekend. Bye.